For the rest of the school year, the entire campus seemed to be playing some kind of trick on me. I was haunted by the memory of my maths teacher, Mrs. Dodds, exploding into yellow powder. But whenever I brought her up, people would stare at me like I was crazy. Even my best friend Grover would hesitate, claiming she never existed, though I knew he was lying. I became so paranoid and irritable that my grades slipped from D's to F's. It wasn't a shock when the headmaster sent my mom a letter saying I would not be invited back to Yancey Academy next year. The only subject I hadn't completely failed was Mr. Bruner's Latin class. I was determined to pass his final exam. The night before the test, I was getting frustrated trying to memorize Greek names, so I decided to go ask him for help. As I approached the faculty offices, I saw a light on in Mr. Bruner's room. I was 3 steps from the door when I heard voices inside. One was Grover's, the other was Mr. Bruner. I froze, listening. "Worried about Percy, sir," Grover was saying. Mr. Bruner's tone was grave. "Alone this summer, Grover is asking for trouble. A kindly one in the school, now that we know for sure and they know too. We would only make matters worse by rushing him," Mr. Bruner said. "The summer solstice deadline." Grover's voice was choked with emotion. "Sir, I can't fail in my duties again." You know what that could mean. My heart was pounding. "What deadline? What duties?" I backed away slowly, my mind racing. I slipped out without them ever knowing I was there. The next day, Mr. Bruner gave me the exam and didn't mention a thing. He just said, "I hope you do well, Percy." I couldn't understand it. The last day of the term arrived. I packed my suitcase, ready for the long Greyhound bus ride back to the city. I dreaded saying goodbye to Grover, but as it turned out, I didn't have to. He was on the very same bus, looking more worried than I'd ever seen him. A few miles out from the city, there was a huge grinding noise and our bus filled with smoke. We'd broken down. As the driver cursed and the passengers filed out, Grover and I found ourselves on the side of a country road, across from an old-fashioned fruit stand. Sitting in rocking chairs in front of the stand were 3 ancient ladies knitting. They were knitting the biggest pair of socks I'd ever seen. They looked like sweaters for a giant. Grover stared at them, rigid with fear. "Percy," he said, his voice trembling. "Come on, we're getting on the bus." "What is it?" I asked, looking back at the women. "They're not looking at you. They're looking at me." As I watched, the middle lady produced a huge pair of shears shimmering gold and silver. She looked directly into my eyes, and with a final, deliberate motion, she snipped the electric blue yarn. Grover let out a small, terrified gasp. He dragged me onto the bus, looking sicker than I'd ever seen him. "What was that?" I demanded. "What did you see?" His expression was grim. "That snipping of the yarn," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Does that mean somebody is going to die?" He looked at me with such pity, like he was already picking out the kind of flowers I'd like best on my coffin. "Percy," he said, "when you get to the bus station, you have to promise me you'll wait for me. Let me take you home." I didn't understand why he was so scared, but looking into his terrified eyes, I promised. I had a horrible feeling that the yarn those old ladies had cut was mine.